All right, so today we are talking all things Black Friday, end of year, the usual. I think I said this in the email, but like feels so basic to talk about this, and also like permission to talk about the basic things because that's usually what we need to hear and what our people want and what our audience wants and all of those kind of things. And so I think sometimes it's just helpful to be reminded of that. Oh my gosh, I burnt my head so bad. And I just realized how much you can see it. um, totally missed you last week. Different in that it looks wider, but you look beautiful. Okay, good. Oh, wider is probably good actually. Maybe it like fits the Facebook screen better. As long as I don't look wide. Just like yearly planning my fave. I know this isn't the topic, but the people need more info on when Happy Magic is coming back and how. Okay, amazing. I will definitely do that. Those headburns are the worst. Yep, curling iron. And then not only that, but it was a curling iron. And then I was like half asleep in the middle of the night. And I was like washing my hands and I saw it and I thought I had something on my head because I was like half asleep. And so then I scratched it. And so now it looks extra bad. So anyway, I just didn't realize how bad it looked until I was on here. Okay, good. Awesome. Okay, so Elisa, I'll answer yours really quickly. So Happy Magic is coming back. We're so excited. It's gonna be just oh my god, what's the word? Like evergreen. Basically, we're not running it live. But it should be back soon. We did some updates, all the things. So we're really, really excited. Oh, it was your favorite. Yeah, it like made sense for us to let it go at the time as we let go of, Happy Thoughts in general. But we both still get asked about it so much that we were like, why are we not doing something with this? So I'm so happy. I always have trouble finding the live when it goes in the group. Yeah, Lucy, also today I had to go live in a different way, so that could have been it too. I was like 5 minutes late or something. It needs Happy Magic back. Yay! Shantae said, and it works. Oh my gosh, so excited, guys. Thank you for the love on that. I'm like really, really pumped for that to come back. It was like such a no-brainer. Yay, maybe started another round. Oh my gosh, so awesome. I cannot wait to hear what you guys have to say then, and we'll definitely come to y'all for some testimonials too. Okay, so Black Friday. All right, so I want to talk about mindset stuff. I want to talk about strategies. I want to talk about ending the year, all the things, because I do think like this is the time of year where we all can feel quite worked up about these sort of things, oh yay, okay, well Shantae, thank you. Like it feels like so much pressure and it feels like it's supposed to go a certain way, and so I just want to like level set on all of that. I want to tell you like some stuff I'm telling my clients, some things that I see working, not working, all that kind of stuff. So let's start with mindset. Oh, also giveaway today is a $100 gift card. I figured that fit. You could use it for Black Friday shopping. So obviously just for saying hi and coming. Hey Laura, thanks for being here. All right, so I think the most important mindset around Black Friday that almost no one takes, but it's so important. I don't want to brag, but I won 10K my second week of Happy Magic. I remember that, Elisa. That is so crazy. Oh my gosh. Yes, it does work. Okay. Well, we will screenshot that one for sure. So the mindset is really like, to me, Black Friday is like the wild, wild west. Like truly. Meaning every year it goes a little bit different. You really don't know exactly what to expect. I think a lot of times, sometimes it feels like everyone's participating. Sometimes it feels like no one is. Sometimes it feels like the market's totally saturated. Sometimes you're like, oh man, I should have gotten in on that. Like it really, really depends. And I don't think it's one of those things that is super predictable. And I think that's not just true for our industry. I think that that's true for big businesses too. Like sometimes Black Friday sales crash, sometimes they don't. Like it depends, right? And so I think the mindset you kind of have to take with Black Friday is like, it is the Wild West, so treat it accordingly, and it's all learning, right? Easier said than done, I know, but like so few businesses should bank on Black Friday for the bulk of their sales. I have a couple clients who usually do have Black Friday as one of like the kind of like a core part of their sales plan. And they've been doing it for years. And so that's why we can have it be a core piece of their sales plan right now, because we have like a lot of years in data under our belt and we know what works for the audience, all of those kind of things. And so even if it fluctuates a little bit and during like depending on that year, like we have enough like kind of assets and data and knowing around it that like it can work. But so many people put all their eggs in this basket and see it as like this is the moment, and it's not the moment unless you have it's already been the moment multiple times, if that makes sense, right? Hey Emma, happy to have you here. Yeah, oh my god, Shantae, for real, it starts earlier and earlier every year. Walmart is starting tomorrow. So wild, so wild. Curious, oh hold on, curious what industries you see doing well with Black Friday, not necessarily even saying that someone not listed couldn't do well. Not, oh, I see what you're saying, Michelle. Okay, yeah, I can answer that. Makes sense. Costco had their Christmas stuff in September. Hey, Steffi, wild, wild west and being there to learn. Exactly. Yeah, Michelle, I don't even think it's industry specific, to be totally honest with you. I think it's like what your audience is used to and has like been built up around and different things like that too. So like I have a client that this is like a pretty core piece of their sales plan, but like they've been doing this for years and their audience knows that Black Friday is a big time for them. They often have people being like, I'm waiting for Black Friday. It's like a thing for their business and with their people. I think it's a lot like it's like a thing with Walmart kind of thing, right? Like I'll use Shantae's example, but it's like we know like, okay, I'm not going to buy like any big purchases from Walmart right now. I'm probably going to wait till blah, 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 till Black Friday. And like, it's like a way of like thinking about that entity or that business. But I think most people don't have that kind of traction built with their audience where they're like expecting that and knowing that and planning for that and waiting for that. And so they often get disappointed because they're expecting their audience to be there when they're not there, Yeah, exactly, Elisa. Definitely feel like we should just have fun with Black Friday and not put all our eggs into that basket, 100%. So when you can take that mindset and you're like, Black Friday is the icing on the cake, or it's like fun to experiment with, or it's something I like to play with, or it's something I'm going to see what happens with and get data from and learn, then obviously like that's great. When you're like, oh my God, like this is such a big opportunity and it gets all built up in your head, it's so easy to get defeated and disappointed there. And what is really true is most of the people who are crushing with Black Friday have been like at that game, so to speak, the Black Friday game for years in their business, and probably didn't crush the first year. So just remember that like it really is a thing that often takes quite a bit of time, and the like idea of like playing with it, learning from it is really the best thing that you can take into it, because again, like it's one of the lesser predictable times in my opinion. And so when you can treat it like that, it gets a little more fun to have fun with it. It feels a little bit more like you're, maybe you're really good at blackjack, but you're still like playing the game and seeing what happens. Like that's kind of what it feels like. Yes, taking a let's play mindset, since I don't have an offer like this, and I know that's not a great idea, but again, just having fun, exactly. Always better to just have fun and learn, 100%. Brittany said, I feel like for Black Friday, most people just sell bundles of their pre-recorded stuff. Yeah, and so like that's not bad, because that can be like the just play kind of thing, where you're like, okay, I'm not going to like build up something new. It's going to be something I've already done, something my audience is already familiar with, and I'm just going to see what happens. And it's not like a lot of extra work either way. Like that can be really good. And I think that is why a lot of people just do the pre-recorded bundles and stuff for Black Friday, because they know it's not a time to like dump a ton of or not a thing to like necessarily dump a ton of energy into. On the flip side of that, then everybody's like, oh my God, another pre-recorded bundle. So sometimes you do, if you want it to go way better, you do have to be like innovative and do something different. But I think there's like something to be said on each end. Yeah, isn't that the mindset of everything? Playing with it and learning from it and thinking long term, 100% always. And I think it's especially the mindset with more with times that come with more pressure. Like, I think that Black Friday is always such a pressured thing for a lot of people when it should be like the least pressured almost. Does that make sense? It's like they put like the most expectation on it, and it should be the thing we put like the least expectation on because it's so unpredictable. Okay, so I think that's mindset. The next thing I would say, which some of these are going to be kind of obvious, but you know, is, does it even make sense for you to have a Black Friday sale? Like, I think I've only done Black Friday in a Lit Up Life maybe once ever. Maybe twice, but I'm pretty sure once. Because it just typically does not make sense for me. It doesn't make sense for my offer suite, for my audience, for anything. Like, it just doesn't do a lot for me or my business. And so just remembering that, like, you don't have to do Black Friday. Like, I think so many people feel like it's like a must or something, like their audience is going to be mad if they don't, or like they're missing such a huge opportunity if they don't, or all these things that just feel like pressure in our space. And I'm just like always reminding clients, like, the only reason to do it is if it makes sense in your sales plan and offer suite and all of that. And for a lot of people, the answer is no. I would say this is really split for my clients. I would say probably 60-40, with maybe 40% not participating, because it just doesn't make sense. And like, what we have to remember in our business is every time we say yes to something, we're inherently saying no to something else. So every time you say yes to Black Friday, you're saying no to something else you could do, get done, move forward on in your business. And so it has to be worth it to be that time give. So many people are like, oh, might as well. But they forget that it still means they're saying no to something else. And so that's something I'm working on with my clients all the time, is like, does this actually make sense for you? And if you have to say no to other things that make more sense, it's probably not the right thing. Emma said, I'm basically a brand new business owner, and so it really makes no sense for me to have something special for Black Friday when I'm still just trying to get my original offers out there. Perfect example, Emma. I think that is absolutely precise and perfect. Like, if you don't have established audience and offers, Black Friday makes no sense for you, and you're gonna feel bummed and frustrated, right? I think so many new business owners do that. So kudos to you for doing the opposite, Emma, where they feel like, oh, this is my chance then, kind of like, I'm new, so I'm gonna get this out there, I'm gonna do this sale, it's gonna be huge. And then they're so bummed and frustrated because maybe they put all this energy into it, when really, like, if they should have kept on the track of just getting their offer out there, just getting their audience built, it would make such a difference. Lucy said, what questions do you have that can help us distill if it makes sense to do a Black Friday sale? So I would say stuff like, do you have an offer that, excuse me, your audience is already familiar with that makes sense to discount for this? So I am a big fan of doing offers, which is another thing I'll talk about. I'm a big fan of doing an offer your audience is already familiar with, because that time is noisy and it's short. And so if you have to like get them bought into a new offer, plus educate them on the sale, plus, it usually does not go super well. So if you already have an offer you feel really good discounting, and your audience is already super familiar with it, and you feel like you have an audience that is ready for it, that would be it. In terms of like those three things, you definitely want to have the box checked on. And then what I would also look at is, what would I have to say no to say yes to this? So if you're like, well, I was going to X, like I was going to do this webinar, but I would have to not to do this. Okay. Is that worth it? I would have to move XYZ things in my business. Is that worth it? I would really think about like what has to move to make that possible. Steffi said, I do my own Black Friday for my birthday in September, as it feels much more natural and personal for me and my audience. I love that, Steffi, right? Like, I think we sometimes act like Black Friday is like the only time we can run a sale or a big sale or something. And it's like, or you could do it whenever the fuck you want, right? And I think that that's like so what you're saying. And I love that. Elisa said, Black Friday is always just around my birthday. And the last 2 years, I always did some sale here, but it felt miserable because I had all this urgency and things to do and was all stressed out to fully enjoy my birthday. So now I learned no Black Friday, more birthday. I'm leaning into more sales right now. I love that. Yeah. Like, that's such a perfect example. Like, timing just doesn't make sense for you. So why bother making yourself miserable unless it's like got this huge upside for you? And even if it did, is it still worth it? You know, I think that's beautiful. Katrina said, I've been thinking about doing an offer for my intensive, so this is perfect timing. Yeah, and so that's like a great one, right? Because it's like an established offer your audience already knows it, you already talk about it. Like, that's a great Black Friday offer in my opinion. Hey Lacey. Katrina said I usually include a 20% of sales donated to the Native American work and support organizations for this timing too. I love that, Katrina. That's so awesome. Shantae said I'm trying to use it as a tester for the launch in December, so essentially a waitlist warm up for a launch in December. So literally just letting it be fun, basically a waitlist launch. Yeah, totally. I think that's great. Like, sometimes the value of Black Friday is we're just getting information. Like, a lot of my clients, what we'll do is do kind of exactly what you're doing, Shantae, like a tester launch for Black Friday. For a real launch, we're planning for January. And so I would say probably, I don't know, I'm trying to think, like maybe 5 of my clients are doing that, where they have a big launch coming in January and we're doing a test launch for it on Black Friday to get as much data and learn as much as we can so we know the January launch will go better. And so that's like a really important thing to know that you can do too, is like use this time to test without a lot of pressure or intensity. Like it almost doesn't matter how it performs because we're really launching in January, and the best part is if it performs bad, we know what to tweak, and if it performs great, we feel confident for January, and either way we win, kind of thing, right? Test launch, yes, thank you for naming that. Yep, test launch is what we usually call it. But yeah, like again, like that might not make sense for a lot of people, so just like remember that piece too. Like if you're test launching it, it makes a ton of sense, but then you have to go in with that mindset of it's a test, you know? So it's like watching that track and where it takes you. Terry said, I haven't done Black Friday still before this year. I'll be in the middle of a launch for my group program, so I might do it just to add another touch point to sell the program. And I think it would just feel really useful because no pressure about it. Yeah, I love that. I mean, listen, the more urgency markers you have during a launch, the better usually in terms of performance. And so if this adds one to like an already planned launch, that's super smart. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, only if it makes sense for you, exactly. Like it may 100% not make sense for other businesses or business models. Yep, totally. So the next point, which we've kind of already talked about that I wanted to make, is like be willing to learn from Black Friday without creating a lot of meaning. What I have seen clients do in the past is get really worked up over whatever happened and like make that mean something. Like if for example, like if they're doing a test launch then and it didn't go well, they're like, oh my God, my January launch is gonna bomb. Holy shit, da 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 da. And for me, I want to learn from it, but I almost never take a lot of stock in what happens on Black Friday because it is such a crapshoot sometimes. So even if something doesn't perform super well, like, yeah, we're going to look at the data and figure out what didn't perform, all that kind of stuff. But it is such a noisy time, and it is a time where people are often so distracted in a multitude of ways, whether that's with Thanksgiving and their family or with their own Black Friday sale or with some other sales they want. Like maybe they're like buying new furniture for their home and so they're spending all their energy over here. It doesn't like mean typically a lot about your specific business and offer, except that we can look at like, oh, we got X amount of people to a landing page and it didn't convert. What can we tweak on the landing page? Like stuff like that's always helpful. But from a broader perspective, like I would never say to a client like, oh, that offer didn't perform well on Black Friday, we probably don't want that offer. Like that's rarely true, because that time is so up in the air in terms of people's buying behavior, attention, priorities, all the things. So there is a way, and I think it's hard to hold this nuance as a business owner, but there is definitely a way to learn from something without making a lot of meaning around it. And for me, that's always where data comes in, is like, I'm not going to start going into the like, oh my God, this offer doesn't work. I need to redo things. I have the wrong audience, blah, blah, blah. Like none of that meaning can come from Black Friday. But I can go into some specific detail. Oh, wow, we got 100 people to this landing page and it's only converting at, 6%. What can we do here? Or, anything else around that. Like that could be really, really useful. So like micro data points like that from Black Friday, amazing. That's great, especially if it's a time where we can drive more traffic. But ultimately beyond that, I wouldn't make a lot of like additional meaning to it. And so that's just something to remember. Like this isn't your time to figure out if an offer will work or not. This is not your time to figure out like if your business is viable or if you have the right audience or insert like any big picture question. This is not it. do not make those judgments based off of this time. It will always make you fucking crazy. So another thing I want to talk about is timing, because that's always a big question I get. Like, is it better to do a quick sale like the Black Friday to Cyber Monday? Is it better to start way in advance of Black Friday? Is it better to wait till Black Friday? Like, timing is always, I feel like, such a big thing for people around this time. So I have lots of thoughts on that. Emma said, yes, as my business focuses on tracking and analyzing the right data, what I do want to do around Black Friday is boost my marketing to focus on what you should track during Black Friday. Yes, I love that. I think that's perfect, Emma. Like, capitalize on it without having to like change your strategy. So smart. So, timing. Okay, so sometimes a quick offer is best and sometimes a longer runway is best. So I'll kind of tell you what I see as the difference in terms of like what clients do. So I think a quick Friday to Monday situation is best if you have a well-established offer you're putting on sale and you want to, like, the whole point is to create that quick urgency of like, oh my gosh, I've been thinking about this thing, like, let me buy it quickly. Definitely keep it short, because we want them to be able to make that. And also what matters there is if they can just hit buy, right? If it's not a situation where they can hit buy, usually a Friday to a Monday is not ideal in any way. So I'll get into that in a second. But if you have an established offer that you're putting on discount and what you want to use Black Friday for is quick urgency, Friday to a Monday almost always makes the most sense instead of like, you know, starting way back here. But what you can start way back here is just to tell your audience that an offer is coming on Black Friday. So to check back in with you, so you don't have to even tell them what it is. But letting them know to like come there for that is really important. In fact, I wouldn't tell them what it is, but I would tell them you're doing something for Black Friday. So if they've been like, well, I'd really like to buy something from Shantae, I've been like eyeing it and she's saying she's doing something on Black Friday, like my brain is going to be attuned to that. I'm going to be coming back to that. I'm going to be looking for that. So it's usually good to say you're doing something because obviously some businesses don't do anything. And so having your audience know and have that awareness is helpful, but you don't have to tell them what it is. In fact, I wouldn't, because then the point is the excitement and urgency, right? A longer timeline makes sense if your offer like needs something else with it. Does it need an application or a phone call? Is it higher ticket? Do they need to understand a lot more things? Like I have a client who we're doing a Black Friday sale and her offer is super high level. It's quite in depth in terms of what we need her audience to understand, and it requires a call. Well, we're starting definitely before Black Friday and we're going past Cyber Monday because we need that timeline for all of those things to happen. If we tried to do a Friday to a Monday, it would be insane. Like, when would she be doing those calls? How would we be getting them all that information? Like, that type of sale just wouldn't fit into a 4-day window like that. And so remember, like, it has a lot more to do with like, what is your offer? What are the steps required with it? If the only step required is read a sales page and hit buy, obviously that's fine. If it's submit an application, get on a phone call, things like that, definitely give yourself a longer timeline. I know these things seem obvious, but it's so crazy how much we want to like run with the crowd sometimes. And so we're like, oh, I hear people are starting earlier this year, so I should. But like, if that doesn't fit your offer, don't do it, or vice versa. Like, I hear everyone's just doing this like quick flash sale, so I'm going to do it too. And it's like, well, how are they getting on the phone with you? Are you spending your Thanksgiving weekend on calls? Like, what are we doing, you know? So remember that piece too. Like, the length and timeline has way, way, way more to do with your offer and your audience than it has to do with there being like a right version of that at all. So make sure you're like aligned to that. Steffi said, would you say the same applies for timing around a big sale around Christmas, New Year's? I'm unsure if more time due to holidays or less time for urgency. When I think about Christmas, New Year's, I'm almost always inclined to give more time because I think people really are off the grid more for that. Like, I think with Black Friday, a lot of people expect that. So people are a little more tapped in to like check their email or check for a sale. I think around Christmas and New Year's, a lot of people genuinely do tap out of like email or social media for days sometimes. So having a longer window there makes sense to me. I've never had a client do a super quick sale around that time, because I've never seen it pay off. So yeah, that would be my take. Okay, I think that's it on timing, but if you guys have any other questions there, let me know. Good. Okay, the other thing that I almost always tell clients not to do is to have a new offer on Black Friday. I think there is very rare circumstances in which this makes sense, but like, we'll just say those first. So like, it rarely makes sense to introduce a new offer on Black Friday unless your audience is already, it's tied to something else that your audience is already quite familiar with. Like, I don't know, you already have, you know, an intensive, and now you're offering like a Voxer version of it. I'm just making that up, right? Okay, that's fair. Your audience is already pretty warm to that intensive. You're offering it in a slightly different way. Yes, it's a new offer, but they're already really familiar with it. They're already familiar with a lot of aspects of it. So all you have to do is educate them on the fact that like, it's even better because it's on Voxer and you don't even have to be there live, whatever, right? That could work. If it's really closely tied to something they're already very, very, very familiar with. And if you already have a pretty warm pipeline of leads that are kind of waiting for that. One of my clients is doing a new offer for Black Friday, but she just got done with running a really big event in her business that typically generates like the most leads for her for that whole year. And so she has like a huge pool of warm leads kind of sitting there right now. And it makes sense for us to have something to offer them as a downsell. And so we're basically treating Black Friday as like a downsell opportunity. And so it is a new offer, yes, but one, it's very much tied to something they're already familiar with, like it's a downsell from it. And two, the warm leads are really, really there. So we're thinking about it as not like a sale to her whole audience, even we're thinking about it as a sale to that pool of warm leads that she just interacted with in this event. So that can work, but like typically you want to be like so targeted with it, and you want to know that you have the audience there to make that connection to, because if not, like you're just doing so much work in such a busy time to like educate them, teach them about the offer, plus add the urgency, plus create the sale. And like, it's just really hard to do all of those things at once. It's especially hard over a holiday where there's a ton of noise and there's a ton of things taking away both your attention and their attention. So I personally, I'm just like, don't put yourself through that. Don't put your audience through like having to jump through those hoops. So again, there could be rare aspects. I do have a client doing it this year. More often than not though, it's not great. And it's a really hard time to test what a new offer means. You know what I mean? Like, unless you're just doing it as like a super test run and you're just looking for that micro data, like how does this one page perform? It's really hard to like get a lot of information out of that because it depends, kind of like we were saying earlier. So it's rarely going to be super beneficial for you, but you know, again, there could be circumstances. But 9 times out of 10, if a client says to me like, I have this new offer idea, what if we launched it on Black Friday? I'm like, no, I don't think so. And that's fine. So I'm here if you guys have any other Black Friday questions, but what I kind of want to talk about now is just like a little bit of a pivot to like ending the year strong, because I think that ties into all of this. But you know, if you're like, wait, I was hoping you would answer X on Black Friday or whatever, feel free to let me know. I'm happy to. Let's see, Steffi said, do you find it easier to stand out from the loud crowd with promoting only one Black Friday offer that can be communicated more specific rather than promoting several offers at once? That's such a great question, Steffi. I totally should have mentioned that. So love that you brought that up. Thank you. I am typically a one offer-ish gal. I do have a couple clients that do 3 on one page. Like we'll do a three offer, 2 to 3 offers on the same page. We make like a Black Friday page. But again, it's only because they have really, really, really well-established offers. And so it makes sense. They have like a big product suite and their audience knows those really well. But generally speaking, I think it is so hard to run a Black Friday sale with multiple offers because, again, you have such a short amount of time to communicate it. And like nothing kind of can quite get the spotlight. So you're like, doing all this work on all of them. Where like, if you've already done all the marketing work on all of them and all you're saying is like, go to my Black Friday page, shit's 50% off, great. That can work. If you haven't put the work in behind 2 or 3 strong offers in your business and you don't have those yet, definitely just lead with one, because if not, like it really is just one of those things where it can be so frustrating. And quite honestly, if you don't have that foundation, but it can actually hurt it, because it's like the first time I'm ever hearing about this offer and it's 50% off. Like sometimes that's not ideal. So yeah, I definitely would say keep it to a core 1 or 2. If you're going upward of that, I think more than 3 is crazy typically, because you just lose the opportunity to really give anything the spotlight. Yeah, okay, cool. Again, let me know if you guys have other Black Friday ones. But in terms of ending the year strong, I think that this relates to Black Friday, but definitely the rest of the year. What I see so often with clients is that we completely overestimate how we're going to show up around this time of year. Completely overestimate it. And what we really need is a better plan and more realistic expectations of that. So for example, what I always have happen with someone, I don't know who, but with someone on Black Friday, is they planned a whole sale, but they didn't plan their marketing in advance enough. And then they end up kind of not really showing up for it because whatever, family stuff got busier than they thought it would, or they're traveling and they got delayed and it's took longer to get home than they thought they would, whatever, insert a thing. And so because Black Friday is such a short window, they lose out on their opportunity for that sale that they spend a lot of time maybe making a page for or planning for or whatever, and then they didn't really get to show up and market it because life was lifing. That is where we overestimate ourselves. We're like, oh, it'll be totally fine. It's Black Friday. I'll just show up and do some stories and I'll make a few posts. And then come Black Friday, it's you just don't know, right? Your family's still there from Thanksgiving, or you have to catch a flight, or things get busy, or you're really exhausted from just hosting, or whatever. Plan this shit in advance. If you're going through the effort of making a Black Friday page, getting your team set up for it, sending emails, please make sure you have pre-planned marketing that does the work for you and backs that. I'm not saying don't show up that day if you can, but make that the icing on the cake instead of the whole fucking plan. Unless you literally have no plans whatsoever and that is your whole plan. I have a client who she's moved recently, just a bunch of things. She's not traveling. She's not having family around. She's my literal only plan this year is to run a Black Friday sale. Okay, great. I believe that she will show up on Black Friday and do her shit. For everyone else, I think that it is one of those things where it's just best intentions do not always come across in the moment in the way that we want them to. So have pre-created content, have a plan, be really clear. If you absolutely know that your plan is to show up, make sure you've picked a time, you've written out what you're going to say, whatever. You have such a specific plan, you could get it done in 3 minutes kind of thing. Because this is just the time where I always have someone that's oh my God, I was going to do that. But it sucks because then not only do you not get the results you want from Black Friday, but you lost a lot of work on that because all the, time for the page or whatever else. And then you don't do the marketing that backs it. That just sucks. And you don't want to put yourself in that position. And I think that's true for December in general too. I think we always underestimate how busy the holidays get or how much we feel pulled to have that downtime at the end of the year. And we're always oh yeah, I'll show up and keep selling or whatever. But then your team's out or you have a party that weekend or whatever. It's just so easy at this time of year to let all of that slide. And so the best advice I could give you is to make sure that for the next, whatever it is, month and a half or whatever, you have as much pre-planned stuff as you can and a really clear agenda for what you're trying to accomplish and get done. Because if you're winging all of this, you can almost reliably know you're gonna be under what you think you can do. You know what I mean? Like, oh, no, I'll show up, I'll figure it out. Assume that you will do much less than you were thinking or get a really good plan together. But the pressure of I will keep showing up and figuring it out, I think is too much at this time of year. And again, almost always clients have the best intentions that find it very hard to see those through because life. Sarah said, I recently saw a post where it said we hit the time of let's circle back after the holiday season. Yeah, exactly. And I think you hit that with leads too, right? So if you're not really planful about how you're showing up and what you're moving forward and all that, like you will see your sales start to dip, and that's okay. Like maybe you have planned for that in your business. Like I have a lot of clients who pretty much plan for like December as whatever, and that's okay. But if you haven't planned for that and then you don't have a plan to make sure people aren't like, I don't know, I'll circle back after the holidays, like you're not in a great place in business, and December can be really stressful for a lot of people in that regard. So great way of saying it, Sarah. I think that is so true. And I feel like we all just have to really take that into consideration of like, the way we end the year strong isn't like, oh, I'll go super hard and I'll show up and I'll do all these things and just have that assumption. Like the way we typically end the year strong is to have a really, really solid plan. Like I've been doing this for so many years, and like I've never seen a client just like wing it through December and like knock it out of the park, because it's just really fucking hard to do. And I feel like we're just all called into that winter season a lot of time. I know, we have some Aussies here who it's not their winter, but we're kind of like pulled into that winter season, which makes us kind of want to go quiet and hibernate and all that thing. Like it just feels like a natural pull. And so if you're not planning against that pull a little bit, or you're not setting yourself up with systems that help with that, it's always going to be much more difficult than it seems in the moment. So I know that's not like the sexiest advice, but it is the best advice I can give. Because it just gets really difficult at this time when you're pulled in so many directions and have so many competing priorities. Which, I think is why a lot of people put pressure on Black Friday, because they're like, oh, if I can get a good Black Friday sale, then I can just chill in December. And for me, I'm always like, okay, if we can not put all that pressure on Black Friday, but have a plan that's good for December so you can chill anyway, that's the ideal, So let's have a great Black Friday if we can, but let's not make your entire enjoyment of the holiday season rest on how well you do on Black Friday. Let's make it rest on having a super solid plan and system in place so that it doesn't matter, and you can take that time anyway. So I hope that helps. Again, any comment this week entered to win a $100 gift card that you can use for Black Friday shopping as a thank you for being here. If y'all watch replay and have any questions for me, just let me know. But hope this was helpful. I hope it was a good level set. Obviously, you can have lots of success on Black Friday. Plenty of clients do it, but it usually comes with a lot of planning and intention. So bring that with you. And I hope you guys have a beautiful week. I will be here and see y'all next week. Oh, actually, wait, no, I won't. Hold on. That's what I meant to say. So next Monday, I'm not here because I'm doing one on Tuesday because I'm bringing one of my clients on with me. So next Monday, we won't have a live stream because we will be doing one on Tuesday, the 14th at 9 a.m. So reminder, next week we're doing Tuesday the 14th at 9 a.m. It's going to be a really good one. So if you can make that one, I highly recommend it, or at the very least watch the replay. But I won't be here Monday because I will be here Tuesday. So look for me then, and I hope you guys have a beautiful week. Bye, y'all.